Danny Garcia versus Shawn Porter is a great matchup. Both of them are very solid welterweights. Both former world champions. Both well-schooled, skilled. Both guys have got decent punching power, nothing amazing. Both guys are always in shape. Both guys have showed heart, the will to win. It's a good fight. But I have to be honest, it's a fight which I'm not that excited about. And I've been trying to figure out why it is that at the moment I'm not particularly excited for Danny Garcia versus Shawn Porter. What is it about this fight that I just can't seem to get up for right now? And the best I can come up with is maybe the welterweight division is getting a little incestuous now, even though these two guys have never fought each other before. It feels like the welterweight division, just to me personally, is getting a little stale. Keith Thurman is on a hiatus. We don't know when he's going to be back because he was a pretty exciting fighter. Amir Khan, I mean, he's on the periphery, but he's not fully involved in the main fights yet. You've got Terence Crawford, who to me is an exciting addition to the welterweight division, but there's politics between Top Rank and Al Heyman, so we don't know whether Crawford could actually get in the mix. And then you've got Errol Spence, who's been acting like he don't want to fight Crawford unless Crawford crushes he's using all these Mayweather terminologies, where Mayweather said you have to cross the street, meaning come over and sign with Al Heyman and then we can get the fight on. All this kind of stuff that Errol Spence has been saying, which is really disappointing. Because I rate Errol Spence and I think he is the truth. But to me, the welterweight division has gone a little stagnant and it's gone a little stale. Kell Brook has moved up, you know, so on and so forth. And this particular fight happening in the midst of all this, it's just like, a shoulder shrugger to me. And I think one of the other reasons that I'm not that excited for this fight is because both guys have got good chins and neither guy at welterweight has proven to be a massive puncher. So this is almost certainly a distance fight. Now, I've been following the sport of boxing, watching the sport of boxing for nearly 30 years. And the whole time that I've been watching this sport, I've been fascinated by punchers, guys who really hit hard, because big punchers introduce an element of unpredictability and excitement to a fight. When you've got a guy who could end the fight or change the course of a fight with one punch, you're on the edge of your seat from the first to the last bell. Because even if he's losing, it only takes one shot and it could completely change the fight or end the fight. That's what's so exciting about punches. That's why heavyweights generally get paid more than people in the lighter weights, because heavyweight boxing, there's more chance of a knockout and people find that more exciting. Tommy Hearns was always one of my favorite fighters because not only was he a tremendous puncher, but he was also vulnerable himself. His chin was suspect. It let him down a few times. Nigel Benn was a very popular fighter in the UK. One of the reasons being because he was a big puncher who was also vulnerable. So his fights had an air of the unpredictable about them. But this fight here between Danny Garcia and Shawn Porter, now it could turn out to be a seesaw battle for all we know. The proof is in the pudding at the end of the day. It could turn out to see both guys on the floor. But I would be surprised if that happened. What I'm expecting is a spirited battle between two relatively evenly matched guys. But I'm not expecting there to be too many fireworks in the fight. I hope there is. I hope I'm wrong. I'm not expecting there to be too many fireworks. It'll probably be a hard-fought contest, but is someone going to win this fight by knockout? What are the chances that this fight's going to end by knockout, do you guys think? I reckon it's relatively slim. Maybe that's one of the reasons that I'm also not too enthused for this fight. And also, another reason why I'm not too enthused is because this is a fight between what most people see as two of the, let me not call them lower tier guys, but neither of these guys is viewed by the boxing public as the best welterweight in the world. Shawn Porter has already lost to Kell Brook, and he lost to Keith Thurman. Danny Garcia lost to Keith Thurman. The fights that are really going to excite people are Terence Crawford versus Errol Spence, Keith Thurman versus Errol Spence or Terence Crawford. That triangle of fighters right there. Amir Khan, he's exciting no matter what because he's vulnerable. So Amir Khan is maybe the exception to everything I've just explained in this video. But yeah, for the most part, it's two guys who are not the best in the division, who are both durable. Neither one is a massive knockout. I mean, both guys have got respectable power at welterweight, but neither one of them have shown themselves to be a massive knockout puncher in the division. So there's a high chance this fight's going to go the distance without knockdowns and I don't know. I just nonplussed. That's how I feel about it. And again, I've always been fascinated by big punchers, but there were a few fighters over the years who weren't knockout artists that were favorites of mine at the time. One of them was obviously Muhammad Ali. Now, obviously, I wasn't watching boxing when Ali was active, but I grew up watching his fights and documentaries and stuff like that about Muhammad Ali. And I was fascinated by him, by his character and how he used to fight with the Ali shuffle and the showboating and all that kind of thing. I thought he was fascinating. And then in the 90s, there was Pernell Whitaker. And I was also fascinated by the way he used to fight. But outside of those couple of exceptions and maybe one or two more, I've always preferred watching punchers, guys who really hit hard, guys who can really crack. And if it's someone who's vulnerable too, that makes it even more exciting. As I explained, like a Tommy Hearns. Prince Nassim was somebody I used to love watching because he was such a tremendous puncher, but also vulnerable himself. Julian Jackson, another great fighter to watch. Gerald McClellan, you know. Chris Eubanks Sr. had a lot of boring performances, but he did have one-punch knockout power. So there was always that in the back. And famously, he showed it against Michael Watson in that tragic fight, which was incredible, actually. That fight was just incredible. Eubanks Sr. was dropped late in that fight, and he looked like he was on the verge of being stopped. He was totally finished in terms of his gas tank. He was running on fumes. And he got up off the floor. And as Michael Watson came in to finish Eubanks Sr. off, Eubanks Sr. landed an uppercut and then Michael Watson was on the floor. It was one of the most extraordinary things you'll ever see. And not only was Michael Watson on the floor, his eyes were glazed and you could tell that something was wrong. Retrospectively, when you go back and look at that fight, that uppercut may have been the one that actually gave Michael Watson brain damage. And I remember them covering it in the press at the time. They had pictures saying, is this the punch that put Michael Watson in a coma? Maybe it was, because he seemed fine up until that point. He was dominating the fight, beating the crap out of Eubanks Sr., but Eubanks Sr. came out with one punch out of the blue. And he knocked out people with one punch several times in his career, Eubanks Sr. He dropped Steve Collins. Was it in the first fight? I'm sure it was in the first fight. Or was it in the rematch? I can't remember now, but he dropped Steve Collins in their fight as well when Steve Collins was on top. So that unpredictability that comes with knockout punches is what I like. You know, so let me know what you guys think of this fight here, Danny Garcia versus Shawn Porter. As far as who I think is going to win, I'm not sure. It's an even fight. I tend to lean slightly towards Shawn Porter. I know he is reckless. And Danny Garcia likes fighters who come at him. He likes fighters who stand right in front of him and let him get his counters off. Danny Garcia is a very, very solid professional. Very solid. But Shawn Porter's got legs. He can use his legs. He can move around the ring. He can jab. He's not just a guy that can swarm all over you. I think he maybe allowed people's perception of him being a miniature Mike Tyson go to his head for a little bit. But he snapped out of that after the Kell Brook fight and he started using his legs more. And he uses his legs to pretty good effect. Danny Garcia is a guy who struggles when fighters use their legs. So, yeah, if I had to pick a winner, I would say Shawn Porter on a tight decision. That's what I would say. But that outcome is reliant on Shawn Porter using his legs effectively, using his jab, and boxing more than brawling. There are going to be moments when, yes, he's going to have to impose himself on Danny Garcia. But I think he needs to keep those to a minimum, to be honest with you. Danny Garcia is not comfortable with somebody moving around and him having to walk them down. He's not comfortable fighting like that. He prefers you to come to him in straight lines with squared up shoulders, then he can get his hooks off. Or even if you box with him but stand still for too long. He likes that. And he likes when you exchange hooks. Because Danny Garcia has got definitely shorter arms than Shawn Porter. I don't know what the reaches are, but in terms of arm length, I'm sure Danny Garcia's arms look shorter to me. Shawn Porter, even though he's a short guy, looks to have long arms. And Garcia has a very short, he can throw the hook wide, but he can also throw it short. And he tends to come off better in exchanges when he's hooking with people. We've all seen that, famously against Khan, but also against many other people. Eric Morales in the rematch and what have you. Who was the other guy he fought? Rod Salka. You know, a bunch of people who tried hooking off with Danny Garcia and they come off second best. So, yeah, I think if Shawn Porter uses his legs, straight punches, uses his jab, I think he can win a decision. It wouldn't shock me if Danny Garcia won. This is a very evenly matched fight. But I'm leaning towards Shawn Porter to take a decision in the fight. Just use his legs strategically, his jab, and just frustrate Danny Garcia. That's what I'm expecting. But Garcia is one of those guys who is frequently underestimated. Yeah, he is. He's frequently underestimated. There's something subtly effective about Danny Garcia and the way he fights and what he does. Because he never looks spectacular, Garcia. You know, he's not someone who has spectacular speed or spectacular power, or he's just very solid all round, but very smart. That's probably Danny Garcia's best attribute. He's got a very high boxing IQ. He's a very smart fighter, Danny Garcia. Good chin, you know, just a good all-round pro. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section below about everything I've talked about in this video. All right, it's happening. I'm out.